Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching the 7th edition of the India Today Group's Political Stock Exchange. Today we focus on the national capital of Delhi and we focus on Punjab. Remember, it was in February 2015 that Arvind Kejriwal led the Aam Aadmi Party to a historic superlative 67 out of 70 seats in the Delhi Assembly elections. So just how satisfied are the people of the capital with the performance of his government? What do they think about the Narendra Modi government at their center? Joining us on this edition of the Political Stock Exchange, representing the BJP, I want to welcome Dr. Sambit Patra. With us from the Congress Party, Sunil Jakar is the president of the Punjab Congress Committee. Ashutosh is here in his avatar now as a political analyst. With us also, once again this week, Yogendra Yadav, last but not least, Adarsh Shastri of the Aam Aadmi Party. What I want to do right at the start of this broadcast is to show you the level of satisfaction with the Kejriwal government in the national capital. He's got the Mohalla scheme going, he's been focusing on electricity tariffs, but just how happy are the people of the capital with the performance of the AAP government? Coming up first, the level of satisfaction with the state government's performance. 41% of the respondents in this India Today Access My India survey said they were satisfied with the Arvind Kejriwal government. 35% said they were dissatisfied with the Kejriwal Sarkar, and 21% were unsure. They think it's average, neither very good nor too bad. But to put this in context, because by now we've put out 23 states over the last 6 weeks on the Political Stock Exchange. So what I'll do next is compare the level of satisfaction with the Kejriwal government with that of other state governments in different states of the country. So coming up on your screen now, a comparison between the level of popularity of the Kejriwal government in the capital with that of other states. Remember, so far, of all the states that we've tracked, the people of Telangana are most satisfied with their state government. 48% thinking that the TRS government in Telangana is doing really well. Then came the BJD government of Naveen Patnaik in Orissa at 44%. Then Sharbanda Sonowal and the Assam government at 44%. So when you look at the level of satisfaction with the Kejriwal government at 41 and compare this with 48, which is the highest in Telangana, and 44, which is the second highest, the Kejriwal government very clearly not doing badly. This is amongst the highest level of satisfaction and approval any state government has had on the Political Stock Exchange so far. Because right at the bottom of the pack, you've got governments like the one in Karnataka of the Congress and the JDS at 23%, the government in Punjab at 28%, and the government in Haryana at 30%. So very clearly, the Kejriwal government nowhere near the bottom, in fact stacked quite a bit at the top in this Political Stock Exchange. The Kejriwal government not doing badly at all. In fact, in the Political Stock Exchange, the level of satisfaction with the AAP government in Delhi is amongst the highest we've seen on the PSC so far, Ashutosh.
See, first of all, I should not be treated as a spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi
Sure,
Party.
of course.
It's fact that I work with him. See, the four factors which has gone in favor of him. First is Bijli, Pani, electricity and the water. And thirdly, the education and the health. In these four sectors, I think the Aam Aadmi Party government has done exceptionally well, and especially on the education and the health. And that has gone in his favor. Electricity and the water has certainly satisfied a very large section of the people who live below poverty line and who have migrated from Bihar and other places, and who living hand to mouth. So it has helped them also. Middle class also similarly. But I was a bit surprised because I was thinking that this 41 should be somewhere around 48, 49. That has not been the case. So a bit surprised I am with the fact.
Okay, Yogendra Yadav, if you were asking somebody who supports the BJP, he'd say the Kejriwal government has been an absolute disaster. This man doesn't know how to govern. Delhi's gone away from their grasp. The fact is, the data suggests that's not the case. So he may not have the kind of popularity that propelled him to 67 out of 70 seats, but even when compared on a national grid, the Kejriwal government in Delhi amongst the most popular in any state at this time.
I'm not sure, Rahul, why you draw this conclusion, because as you would remember, when we started this series, we had one way of asking questions about state government popularity. In the middle of it, we changed it to a slightly better way of asking this question. And ever since we've started that other way that your pollsters have been using, this is, I would say, some of the moderate. If you look at the performance of Uttar Pradesh government, which by no means is a spectacular success, you would see the performance rating is somewhat similar. 41-37 is what I remember. And of the Aam Aadmi Party government, it's 41-35. So where is the striking difference? I would say it's a moderate, somewhat modest success. And the reason for that is in many ways the fact that there is virtually no opposition. The BJP has had spectacular success in NCD election, great success in Lok Sabha election. Today they have no leader, they have no agenda, they have, apart from some cheap theatrics, there's nothing else happening in the state. Congress seemed to be coming back, but then Congress clearly has fallen to its own internal machinations. So there is no virtual opposition in the state. And please remember that Aam Aadmi Party's profile, remember we need to start Aam Aadmi Party's performance from 54% which they had in state elections, which is history. Where have they come today? That's where we need to measure.
It's a classic case whether you look at the glass half full or half empty. If you choose to look at it half empty, yes, it's nowhere close to the kind of popularity that got them those 67 seats. But the fact is, they aren't doing very badly either. Sambit Patra, Yogendra Yadav says part of the reason is the BJP in Delhi, high on theatrics, very low on substance. You still haven't been able to wean people away from the grasp of Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party.
See, I believe as far as the word theatrics is concerned, it has become quite synonymous, I would say, with Aam Aadmi Party, and the AAP almost stood for the abusing and accusing party. Remember in the days when AAP was formed. So from where we have come to this debate, remember Rahul, you and me had debated way back in 2013 that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal was the face of alternative politics in this country, and he can be the face of the Prime Minister of this country, and Aam Aadmi Party was almost projected synonymous to a national political party ready to fill the gap which has been created thanks to the Congress party in 2013-14. From there, suddenly, their acceptance levels reduced only to one state speaks volumes as to what has happened to Aam Aadmi Party. I mean, I would say Aam Aadmi Party is almost imploding from within. Remember, in democracy as great as India, it can never be a one-man party. And that's what Aam Aadmi Party has reduced itself to. As far as BJP is concerned, similar echoes that BJP has nothing to offer were heard from the opposition members during the MCD elections. It was a similar case just before the Lok Sabha elections. The Aam Aadmi Party had done surprisingly well, and only recently there was a voter, I would say a poll or a survey conducted which showed all the 7 seats of the Delhi going to Bharatiya Janata Party.
From the Aam Aadmi Party, we've got Yogendra Yadav and Ashutosh here on the show as living proof of the fact that Kejriwal has problems in retaining his best people. More importantly, in the capital, the level of popularity that you enjoyed at your peak in February 2015 is nowhere close to what you have now. Your popularity levels have fallen substantially. Even though you may still be the most popular party of Delhi, you are nowhere close to how popular you used to be.
Well, Rahul, the historic mandate that we got in 2015, of course, was a mandate for 5 years. And the popularity levels in the time that you form the government versus when you are the incumbent keep moving. The basics that is important here is that Arvind Kejriwal has continued to focus on what is required for the people of this city, which is on basic issues, correcting infrastructure, correcting health, correcting, solving problems of electricity and water, which is where the focus is. And that accounts for 60-70% of Delhi's people. The point I'm trying to make is keep focusing on the basics, keep focusing on what has not happened in India or in Delhi for the last 60-70 years, and you see the success and the popularity of Arvind Kejriwal even today, 3.5 years after the elections. I would also like to add to what Sambit said earlier, that about the opposition. I would like to remind you that the MPs in Delhi, all 7 of them belong to the BJP. About 200 odd councillors out of 272 belong to the BJP. In spite of that, the people of Delhi understand that we are, squeezed from both ends. from the MCD and the central government. In spite of that, these ratings reflect the acknowledgement of the people, the kind of work that Arvind Kejriwal is doing in spite of these hardships.
Rahul, yes, there's always an in spite, added with Arvind Kejriwal's dialogue, that he's being squeezed from all the sides. The Congress is squeezing, the Bharatiya Janata Party is squeezing, the MCD is squeezing, the LG of course is the biggest villain of sorts. But in spite of all these, they are still managing well. This kind of narrative of Aam Aadmi Party is quite known, the victimhood buying that they have always been doing. But let me tell you, people of Delhi are extremely intelligent. Well, yes, we will see when the results are out.
Okay, I want to come now to the next data points that we're putting out on our screen. This is to do with the popularity of the Delhi Chief Minister. We asked respondents, who do you want as the next Chief Minister of the national capital? This is going to throw up some very interesting data, because when this question was put, it's quite clear that Arvind Kejriwal's popularity still is way more than that of his party. Remember, the party's level of satisfaction was 41%, the Chief Minister's own satisfaction a good 6% more than that of his party. 47% of the respondents in the national capital want Arvind Kejriwal as Chief Minister once again. On the question of who comes in next, there was Sheila Dikshit, who's frankly nowhere in the picture, but she's at 19%. That's a predicament for the Congress party. What do they do with a war horse who's no longer in the battlefield? Then there is Ajay Makan, the man they'd like to project, but he comes in only at 4%. Harshvardhan comes in at 13%, Manoj Tiwari at 1%, Vijay Goyal at 1%. So if I add all the BJP candidates, all of them taken together, it's only about 15%. Which means essentially on the issue of who should be next Chief Minister, the BJP, all the candidates taken together are less than half that of Arvind Kejriwal just by himself. So that is some context, and there's a problem there, Mr. Jakar, for the Congress as well. The man you want to project is at 4%. The man who's, the lady who's no longer in the battlefield is way more popular. So the Congress really in the capital, in its bastion at one point in time, still in the doldrums.
Well, Rahul, to begin with, I would give credit where it's due. For all that, what has happened, what Sambit Patraji has said, he's portraying himself as a victim. Yes, of course, I think is a classic scenario of David versus Goliath. People have voted him because he has withstood all the legal or criminal assault which has been made on him by different agencies of the central government. One hand you have Narendra Modi ji, on the other hand you have a Chief Minister or a virtual kind of a Chief Minister of a small little state or a semi-state. So obviously that has helped his standing, because our Indian psychology is such, when we call somebody a bechara, and I think this is what BJP has ended up making him, made him a bechara. Coupled with all these, that he has been able to market all these things, Ashutosh ji was mentioning about electricity and water issues, he has been able to market that well. But the thing is, when you are comparing chief ministerial candidates, I wonder how come you missed out on BJP's prime candidate, which was at that time brought in, Kiran Bedi ji. Why haven't you taken a survey?
No, so I must just explain how the poll functions. We don't suggest any name to the respondents. The respondents are asked, who would you like to see as next chief minister? They could name Kiran Bedi, they could name you, for example, they could name Sambit Patra, they can name anybody. So it's essentially a compilation of who respondents say they want as chief minister. We haven't missed out on anybody. So it's entirely dependent on name recall. It's not as if you've got options you need to pick from. But Sambit Patra, there's a problem there. And the fact is the BJP has run a very strong campaign against Arvind Kejriwal. At the end of it all, the man's individual popularity more than double that of all BJP leaders put together.
See, two things over here. Number one, you would see, because it's, I believe, the 7th edition of your political stock exchange. Any state with an incumbent chief minister, generally the incumbent chief minister does buy a few slices extra compared to the others in the fair, others in the race.
But you never said this in Madhya Pradesh or Rajasthan.
No issues. That's what the spokesperson is supposed to do, behave differently in different surveys. Anyway, that was on a lighter note. But coming to the topic proper. See, as far as the BJP is concerned, the chief ministerial race, we have not projected any person as such. Remember when Dr. Harshvardhan was projected, he had received a thumbs up sign from the people of Delhi. We had almost reached the finishing line, only for a couple of seats. Remember when Kiran Bedi ji was also there, we had done quite well, but people have not voted for Kiran Bedi probably because of the fact that people realize that she is not in the race anymore. She is now the governor of Puducherry. Thirdly, and very importantly, this dictatorial way of functioning of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, he's a single face.
It doesn't matter. People
doesn't-
like him.
Okay, I agree.
47% of the respondents like him. Ashutosh, you are clearly disillusioned with Arvind Kejriwal, which is why you walked out on AAP. The people of Delhi aren't. 47% still think he's the best man to be chief minister. His own individual popularity, 6% more than that of his party.
See, whether I was disillusioned or not disillusioned, maybe history sometime will write about it. The fact that two things which is very, very important. One is that Arvind Kejriwal is 47%, that he's exceeding the popularity of his own party. The fact he also gets benefited by the simple fact that every day on a newspaper he's there. His visibility level is very, very high being in the national capital, and that is the added advantage to any chief minister who happens to be in Delhi. So that is point number one. The point number two, I think we are missing one single point, that Arvind Kejriwal's government in the last 3.5 years, he has not been able to make any mark outside Delhi, but in Delhi he seems to be working. And the one thing which Mr. Modi has done to him is that he has been shown that at least there is one man who is trying to fight with Mr. Modi, or Mr. Modi finds him so dangerous that for his own existence in future, that wants to just squeeze him within the Delhi itself. I think that added
Yogendra
advantage.
Yadav, the BJP calls him autocratic and dictatorial. It doesn't seem to matter to the voters of the national capital, almost half of whom would like to see Arvind Kejriwal as chief minister. There is no vote share or seat share projection in this data, but if you would look at the level of satisfaction, dissatisfaction with both the government and the chief minister, it's quite clear if elections are to be held again, Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party with a reduced mandate would probably come back to power.
Allow me first of all to compliment Sambit Patra for this exceptional honesty, which you rarely see on television. And in that he follows the footsteps of his own party president, who clearly said, हाँ चुनाव है जुमले बोलते हैं. He says, हाँ election है, spokesperson है किसी state में एक बात बोलनी, दूसरे में दूसरी बात बोलनी. Now this candor I think is great, because there's not even a pretense of wanting to speak the truth. So that I really thank him. Allow me to speak. I waited for you to speak, sir,
yes,
and
sir.
I am
ahead.
very sure you would allow me this courtesy.
Go ahead.
So the beauty is that there is not even a pretense of wanting to speak the truth. Unfortunately, that's a constraint that binds us, some commitment to truth. So coming to your question, I would say this doesn't surprise me at all. And in fact, I had said right in the beginning, there is virtually no face that the Congress or the BJP can put up against Arvind Kejriwal. The other thing that you need to notice from your own data is that there is a definite significant shift in the base of Aam Aadmi Party. Remember, 3 years ago, this was a party of the young, of the idealist, of everyone in Delhi. Today, your own data, which you probably don't have time to show the breakup right now, is that it has now become the party not so much of the young. It's become a party primarily of the poor, in which it actually replaces the Congress. Congress was traditionally a party of the Juggi Jhopadi, party which controlled those areas with patronage network and touts, and that is probably the direction in which Aam Aadmi Party is headed. While it retains number one position in Delhi, there is no doubt about it.
Rahul, I just want to make one quick point that I think it's very ironical to see that the two leaders, the Manoj Tiwari, who happens to be the BJP chief minister, BJP president in Delhi, and the Ajay Makan, the Congress president in Delhi, both do not exist in this. That is so that shows.
So I just want to build on the point that Yogendra Yadav made, because I've now pulled out data, and Yogendra Yadav is correct to say that amongst the youth, amongst people between 18 and 25, Kejriwal's popularity, relatively speaking, is the least. So he's more popular amongst people who are more than 61. 53% of those who are more than 61 years in age believe that Kejriwal is the best, whereas only 41% of the youth voter now back him. So there has been some kind of a dip amongst the youth voters, no longer quite as attracted to Arvind Kejriwal as they were earlier. But you know, Yogendra Yadav, this could be a case of sour grapes, because the fact is the next party is the BJP, which is at 27%. So you're saying the youth is less attracted, but only relatively speaking, because the BJP is 14% behind Arvind Kejriwal, who's sitting at 41%. So खट्टे अंगूर का केस तो नहीं है सर ये.
Rahul, that's probably something you're addressing to BJP, not to me. I'm simply saying there is a shift. You pointed out the age, and if you also look at the education, if you look at the class profile, you will see exactly this. So all I'm saying is, yes, Aam Aadmi Party clearly is number one in Delhi, but yes, it has actually shifted its support base largely to what used to be Congress support base, lower class, jhuggi jhopdi, and unfortunately it is using the same methods which the Congress used to use, namely patronage network, touts, and a bit of local mafia.
Okay, so there is a point then Adarsh Shastri must come in. While you're still net the most popular, your level of popularity amongst the youth is coming down in comparison with where you were earlier. Your level of popularity amongst illiterates is highest, and as you move up the education spectrum, the level of popularity comes down. It is least amongst graduates and postgraduates, highest amongst illiterates. So there is a problem there. The more educated someone is, the less likely he is to, like Arvind Kejriwal, respond to Yogendra Yadav, Adarsh Shastri.
You know, the kind of support that we enjoy across age spectrum and education, I don't think is the correct perspective to look at it. The correct way to look at it probably would be across economic classes. If you look at economic classes, apart from the fact that already everybody has mentioned that we have a huge support base in the relatively poor classes, I would like to point out that if you talk of the middle and the upper middle class, today, you know, as a function of the challenges they have faced with demonetization, GST, the challenge of ceiling, I can assure you, if you pull out that data, you will find that the support of the Aam Aadmi Party in the traditional BJP vote bank, which is the traditional trader, the traditional shopkeeper, you know, so on and so forth, the support in those economic classes has moved from the BJP to the Aam Aadmi Party. So I think the interpretation has to be more in terms of economic classes, where our support has grown across each class of society in Delhi.
So I have the data for economic classes in front of me as well, and you're partly correct in that it's, you know, Harshvardhan, Manoj Tiwari, Vijay Goyal, Mahesh Giri together have only 12% of the support of traditional businesses. Arvind Kejriwal's support alone is at 49%. Now, traditional businesses, the small traders of Delhi, Delhi for the longest time known as a traders' city, they're 4 times less, all BJP leaders together. If this was a report card in Delhi, the BJP is failing. All 4 of you together can't take on one man.
No, I would not agree to this, because only recently, as I pointed out initially also, one of the important reputed survey houses showed that 7 MP seats are going to be won by the Bharatiya Janata Party. I respect all the surveys, as your survey, their surveys also. Secondly, and most importantly, look, as far as GST and demonetization is concerned, I as a young voter, I as a young Indian firmly believe that reform is something which is absolutely important. Absolutely important, without pointing fingers towards any class. I would not say the trader class or the class of people who look into economy. I would say that Indians as such will have to look forward. Times are changing, and if you really have to become, I mean, this Delhi is not any other city, state. It is Delhi, the capital of India.
Okay.
And for God's sake, if you're not smart enough to take up GST, to understand as to how reforms are to be brought in, I believe, God save India.
Okay, I want to now come to the relative level of popularity of the Chief Minister in comparison with other Chief Ministers. So if we do a Chief Minister versus Chief Minister comparison, where does Arvind Kejriwal stand? So that data coming up on your screen now. So the most popular Chief Minister across all PSC reports that we've put out has been Naveen Patnaik, Chief Minister of Orissa, at 59% approval ratings. Then there was Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, at 53%. Then the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Vijay Rupani, at 48%. Then there is Kejriwal at 47%. So very close to number 3, Vijay Rupani. You've got Khattar at the bottom at 33%, Parrikar in Goa at 36%, Vasundhara Raje Scindia in Rajasthan at 35%. So very clearly, even amongst a nationwide comparison of Chief Ministers, Arvind Kejriwal not doing badly. He's amongst the top percentile, right at the top. And that, Adarsh Shastri, I suppose, would give some relief to the Aam Aadmi Party that your man, no matter how much he's being battered day in and day out, different charges of corruption against various leaders, in the esteem of the voters of Delhi, Kejriwal not showing as failing, in fact showing as doing amongst the best in the country.
I would also like to point out another thing which you didn't say here. Out of the 4 chief ministers that you mentioned, 3 of them are non-BJP chief ministers. And considering the fact that Vijay Rupani is not such an old chief minister, and considering that the other 3 have spent more time in office, it is very interesting to note that the people have rejected BJP chief ministers all through and through.
Okay, so he's got an opportunity, he's throwing a political punch. There you, Adarsh Shastri. I want to now, in the 9 minutes that I have left in the Delhi segment, focus on the popularity of the central government in the capital. Coming up on your screen now, data for how popular people think the performance of the central government has been. 42% of the respondents in the capital give Prime Minister Modi's government a thumbs up. That's 1% more than the number of people who like the performance of the state government. Kejriwal's government was at 41%, the central government is at 42%. Coming up next on your screen, the level of people who are dissatisfied. 36% of the respondents say they are dissatisfied with the Modi Sarkar. Then 19% think the performance of the government has been average. So there it is, a rather mediocre report card. It's not a superlative report card in the capital. In comparison with some of the other states, the central government not receiving very high marks, but it's not doing badly. There is no cause for concern. There is no cause for immediate alarm. What I'll do is show you now the level of satisfaction with the Prime Minister's own performance. On the question of who people want as India's next Prime Minister, let's show you what the voters of Delhi think. We asked respondents, who's your next choice for Prime Minister? 49% of the respondents in the capital want Prime Minister Modi as Prime Minister once again. 43% want Rahul Gandhi, only 5% want Kejriwal. So Kejriwal for PM not seen as a real choice. 49 versus 43, a 6% gap, a tighter gap than in other states, but a gap nonetheless. What I want to do to put this in context nationally is show you now how the performance of the Prime Minister in the capital compares with his own performance in other states. So let's bring that up on your screen right now. Remember, in Gujarat, 61% of the respondents wanted Narendra Modi as Prime Minister once again. That was the highest. Then there was Chhattisgarh, where 59% of the respondents wanted Prime Minister Modi once again. In Bihar, it was 58%. So this is a good 10% less than that, at 49% of the respondents of Delhi wanting Prime Minister Narendra Modi in power once more. At the bottom, the states where he did the worst were Punjab, Andhra Pradesh and Goa. Punjab 32%, Andhra Pradesh 38%, Goa 40%. So that's really a comparison of where the Prime Minister stands nationally. Sambit Patra, is this cause for some concern that the Kejriwal government is only marginally behind the Modi government? 42 versus 41. It's not like people think that Modi is great and Kejriwal is failing. It's actually a tight fight.
See, as far as the comparison between Mr. Modi and Kejriwal is concerned, that you had shown 49% versus 5% if it is in the race of Prime Ministership.
But there is no race for Prime Minister.
Because naturally Mr. Modi would not become the Chief Minister of Delhi. So the comparison has to be, if at all it has to be made, at the Prime Ministerial level. That's a huge gap, 49 versus 5%. Secondly, remember, it's a rule that in a state, if you ask about the central policies, the central things that have reached you, mostly the people would understand that whatever is being done by the Chief Minister. Generally,
that's not correct, Samit.
It's generally done.
If that were true, then Chief Ministers in Telangana, Orissa, Assam, your Chief Minister in Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh wouldn't enjoy the kind of ranking.
No issues. But I would say that still 42%.
I'm sorry. Yogendra Yadav, do you strongly disagree? Because Yogendra Yadav told us just last week that it is the central government that has an advantage over the state government, where the central government's approval generally tends to be higher than that of the state government. Please tell him some psephology lesson coming from the top psephology. Sambit Patra, please learn.
I don't know, why should I learn from Mr. Yogendra Yadav? With all due respect, had Mr. Yogendra Yadav learned all his lessons well, then today he would have been a very important leader in the Aam Aadmi Party himself.
Okay, let's listen to Yogendra Yadav, please. On a point of psephology.
I must confess that Sambit has said, I must have really failed where people like Sambit have succeeded. I agree to him. I probably need to learn those lessons from Sambit. I don't know if I want to learn those lessons, but one day probably they can be useful. No, there are certain ways of retaining certain positions in political parties. I know what those things amount to, but we are not here to discuss that, and so let's not get into that very much. And this is not a lesson in psephology. All I had pointed out was that in your own series so far, mostly the central government has done much better than state governments of the BJP itself and of other parties. Second, The fact is that there is reason for worry for the BJP here, because not only is the state and central government performance more or less at par, there's really no difference between the two. Also, Mr. Modi's personal popularity is among the lower end if you look at the whole thing nationally. Delhi is a state where Prime Minister popularity does matter, makes a difference. So yes, it would worry the BJP. And what it does say, we don't have the voting data, but from this data, the only reasonable conclusion to draw is that the clean sweep that the BJP had last time, the BJP currently is nowhere close to that. This is going to be a very, very different kind of election.
And Sunil Jakar, 43% approval rating for Rahul Gandhi is not bad in comparison with his own approval ratings in other parts of the country. There's only Andhra Pradesh where he was in the 40s, otherwise, and one state of the northeast. Otherwise, he's been struggling in the 20s and 30s. So in Delhi, even though the Congress isn't doing well, Rahul's not doing too badly in comparison to Prime Minister Modi.
As far as lessons in psephology is concerned, you have Yogendra Yadav ji here. Nobody can doubt his knowledge about the area. So I think I will contain myself only to the political perspective of it. At least this settles this question that who is going to be the prime ministerial candidate from the opposition side. I think this is a sizable number of people
who
have
Delhi, sir.
This is across the board.
Like no, it's not.
Delhi,
I wish it were across the board from the Congress perspective.
Delhi Hindustan ka, let's put it this way. And since here, only the people see two parties pitched against each other, Aam Aadmi Party and Modi ji's government trying to hunt him down. So obviously in that scenario also, when you ask them to choose, because you only said that they were left to nominate whom they want to see as a CM or as a PM. So people have come forth on their own and shown in a scenario where two parties are pitched and Congress is
do you agree with Yogendra Yadav's assessment that while the BJP and the Prime Minister may still be popular, given these current trends, a 7-0 whitewash is seeming unlikely at this time?
See, first of all, I'll quote my dear friend Samit Patra when he said the incumbent CM will drive extra slices. So that is...
That's not correct.
No, if you say about the PM's popularity, 49%, Rahul Gandhi 43%. If you drive away that slices, the extra slices which an incumbent prime minister always have, and even when I.K. Gujral was the prime minister, even then the survey was done and his approval rating was very high. So Rahul Gandhi is in Delhi, is neck to neck with Mr. Narendra Modi. That fact has to be accepted. And 2 years down the line, if you remember, 2 years back, Rahul Gandhi was nowhere to fight with in terms of popularity with Narendra Modi. And at that point of time, when India Today has done a survey, in that survey, after Narendra Modi, Arvind Kejriwal was having 22% of the popularity, and Rahul and the Sonia was 9 and 7%, if I remember correctly. So from 22% to come to the 5%, there's a huge disappointment in that sense that now Arvind is only been relegated to Delhi and he's not considered to be a national alternative in that sense.
Adarsh Shastri, respond to this. You know, in 2014, at that time, Prashant Bhushan was in your party. There was talk about Kejriwal for Prime Minister, that there would be an AAP sweep. With 5% of the respondents in the state where you rule thinking that Kejriwal can be Prime Minister, it's now very clear that unlike your aspirations for being a national party, you are now limited to somehow maintaining your position in the capital. That's it. AAP is a regional phenomena restricted for the time being to Delhi. And even here, you're nowhere in the fight for Prime Ministership.
First of all, AAP continues to be a party which is young, about 5 years old. Secondly, it was the imagination of the media which was pitching Arvind Kejriwal as a prime ministerial candidate. Arvind Kejriwal has been focusing on governance in Delhi. We have come as the largest opposition party in Punjab. And I think, the point for us is to grow over a period of speed which is in sync with what we want to do at the ground level.
Ashutosh has a wry smile on his face, as does Yogendra Yadav. Earlier they were talking about national ambitions. Ashutosh in fact having a laugh, right? There's now a more realistic approach.
But this is a fact. This is the huge embarrassment. Huge embarrassment for Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. 3 years back, he was considered to be a man who will challenge Narendra Modi as a prime ministerial candidate or as a national leader. So from there coming down to this point, I think it's a huge embarrassment and huge disappointment for his followers.
Sambit also wants to have a go. Sambit.
See, you have to understand one thing. I mean, I've been attending number of your political stock exchange. Each time we have a different state. Each time we have a different leader
and
from that
each time
state.
you swing in a different direction.
Just a second. We have a different leader from a different state, but we have the same constant. If you are a student of mathematics or physics, you will have this word, constant. The constant, which is not a variable over here, is Mr. Narendra Modi. And imagine he's doing fantastically well.
Yeah, I want to come now to the state of Punjab. And Punjab is important for the Congress especially because this is the one state where they rule. It was on the 11th of March 2017 that they swept to power in Punjab. So it's only been a year and a half. Let's see on your screen right now on the 7th edition of the Political Stock Exchange, the performance of the state government in Punjab and the people's perception about it. Amrinder Singh, of course, thinks he's doing a great job, but what do voters in his state think? Now this, for Punjab watchers, also would be a bit surprising because only 28% of the respondents think that Amrinder Singh is doing a good job. This is amongst the lowest approval ratings anywhere in the country. Vasundhara Raje was at 35. Amrinder Singh at 28. This is amongst the lowest performance approvals we've seen anywhere in the country. Then, how many people are dissatisfied? 45% of the respondents in Punjab dissatisfied with the performance of Amrinder Singh. 45% dissatisfied, which essentially means if there is an election at this time, Amrinder Singh and the Congress are gone. That is quite clear according to the Access My India, India Today political stock exchange numbers from Punjab. I want to show you now the next set of data that we are putting out. This is about the performance of the Chief Minister. How satisfied are people in Punjab with the performance of the Chief Minister? Well, here there is another surprise, and the surprise is this, that Amrinder Singh is not doing badly. 42% of the respondents still want him as next Chief Minister. Now remember, the state government's approval was at 28%. Amrinder Singh's own approval, 14% more than that of the Congress government. 42% want Amrinder Singh, but only 28% want the Congress. In a moment, I'll ask Mr. Jakar, what does that even mean? Then there is Prakash Singh Badal at 29%, Sukhbir Singh Badal at 12%. You add the both of them, you are fairly close to Amrinder Singh, who's at 42%, the Badals together at 41%. Bhagwant Mann of the Aam Aadmi Party at 6%, Kejriwal at 4%, Sidhu of the Congress at 4%, Phulka at 1%. So that's really what the data looks like for Punjab. And I want to go across to Mr. Jakar first because this is amongst the lowest approval ratings any state government has had to face anywhere in the country. You're only ruling in Punjab by yourself. In Karnataka, you have a coalition government, and voters in the state of Punjab, where you come from, sir, don't think you're doing a good job.
I think it depends upon how you look at it. If you look at it, people want Amrinder Singh to be the next chief minister.
You don't want your 42%.
Party? Of course, he is the head of the party. In fact, this is one of the states where the chief ministerial candidate was announced before the elections.
Just a few
Congress
days.
does not do it in any other state, has not done it and did it, and precisely the results are for you to see. And not only the ratings, I will bow to Mr. Yogendra Yadav as far as interpreting the data is concerned, but I as a politician, I can tell you about the vote percentage. I am a result of that. I won a by-election. I won by a thumping majority of something like 2 lakh votes from where the BJP had won, Vinod Khanna ji had won by 1,40,000 votes. Then we had another by-election of assembly, we won 40,000 with 40,000
votes. Okay,
so
Yogendra Yadav, try and explain this
every
to
election
us.
We have won one after another.
The Punjab government of the Congress has amongst the lowest approval ratings anywhere in the country. Lowest in the country. The Chief Minister himself doesn't seem to be doing too badly. 42% want him Chief Minister once again.
This is a shocker, Rahul. This is a shocker. Shockers, and if I was a pollster here, I would probably go back to the data. You see, when you have Karnataka Congress doing very, very badly, I can understand, I can make sense of what's happening in the state. In Punjab, apart from the by-election results that Mr. Jakar referred to, there have been municipal election results, there have been Jila Parishad election results, all of which Congress has more or less swept. And of late there has been a controversy about Guru Granth Sahib Beadbi, where actually it's the Akali Dal which is on the back foot. So I'm a little surprised with the figures, but please do remember that in Punjab it is not a Congress government. It is above all Amrinder Singh's government. And if Amrinder Singh is doing well, the Akali Dal is on the back foot. That's the larger picture here. But one thing doesn't surprise me, which is some degree of unhappiness from farmers, because the government, Congress government, had made huge promises to the farmers about loan waiver, about all kinds of other facilities that were to be extended, and farmers organizations have been extremely unhappy with the Amrinder Singh government on that score. So there is scope for anti-incumbency, there is some resentment, but frankly the extent of that which is shown in the data leaves me surprised. I should technically point out that your sample has underestimated Hindus and overestimated Sikhs, which in a sense would benefit the Akalis. But even that doesn't fully explain this complete shocker. But that's something that Congress needs to reflect upon.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Jakhar.
Talking about the farmer unrest, I would like to point out that Punjab is probably the only state where we had promised a loan waiver in spite of the kind of financial straits we are in. We have delivered on that, sir. We have started this thing. Obviously, the Punjab government could have also delayed it till the fag end when the assembly elections are due. We started in the very first year. Till now, 3 lakh farmers, their loans have been waived, 2 lakh worth of loans have been waived off. No other state, even the prosperous states like Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and all, they are talking about 50,000 rupees.
Because we have just a few moments to go, I want to look now at what people of Punjab think of the performance of the central government. So coming up on your screen now, responses to the question on how satisfied are you with the Modi government. Approval ratings of the central government. Only 31% in Punjab are satisfied with the BJP government at the centre. The number of people who are dissatisfied is higher at 42%. This is amongst the very few states where the number of people unhappy with the Modi government is more than the number of people who are happy with the Modi government. This hasn't happened in too many states on the PSE. The number of people who think the government has been average is about 1/4 of the respondents at 25%. Number of people satisfied 31, dissatisfied 42, average 25. I want to show you now responses to the question, and this to my mind is the most startling finding of episode 7 of the Political Stock Exchange. Coming up on your screen now, responses to the question, who do you want as the next Prime Minister? 32% of the respondents in Punjab told Access My India that they wanted Narendra Modi as Prime Minister once again. But look at the graph on the left side. You've got Rahul Gandhi at 36%. Sambit Patra, this is only the second state after Andhra Pradesh where Rahul Gandhi's popularity is higher than that of Prime Minister Modi.
See, it seems there's always, whenever you have a survey, there's something called as a margin of error. I believe all the margin of errors have come into these two states and especially to Punjab. But coming to a serious...
No margin of error where they're doing well, margin of error only where they're not doing well.
Anyways, coming on a serious note over here, see, Mr. Jakhar, whom I respect a lot, he's a very sensible leader. I would say that when the Punjab elections were on, the talk in the media circle, leave aside what the BJP was saying, was Captain Amrinder Singh was the happiest person because Mr. Rahul Gandhi did not go to Punjab for campaigning. In fact, Mr. Amrinder Singh had almost literally mentioned to the Congress High Command that for God's sake...
That's not fair. He campaigned quite a lot.
Just a second.
That's not factual.
No, he did not. Please, sorry, he did not. Just a second.
Like
Jakhar, let me complete. When you say, Rahul, that he campaigned quite a lot in Punjab, that is wrong. He did not campaign quite a lot. It was only twice that he went to Punjab. Remember, it was not me who is saying this. There were articles, were newspaper reports.
The election was won on the esteem of Amrinder Singh. There is no doubt about this.
In fact, he was almost treated as a fringe within the party as far as Punjab is concerned. As far as this data is concerned, well, there are only 2 states, as per your own acceptance, Andhra Pradesh and Punjab, where Rahul Gandhi almost meets up to what Mr. Modi holds as
he's ahead.
Almost meets. If 44 and 47 were almost meeting up in Aam Aadmi Party and BJP over here, 32 and 36, they cannot be almost same.
What do you make of the fact?
I would say if only 2 states, and just Ashutosh, 10 more seconds. See, as far as the Prime Minister candidature is concerned, when Mr. Rahul Gandhi himself is not confident about being one of the opponents to Mr. Modi, because the CWC, the Congress Working Committee, initially announced that Mr. Rahul Gandhi is the candidate, and the very second day when they were rebuked by Mamata and Maya and Samajwadi Party as well as Tejaswi, immediately they withdrew, saying that we are not the one.
What do you make of the fact that in Punjab, like Andhra Pradesh, Rahul Gandhi somehow surprisingly seems to be more popular than Prime Minister Modi?
I think Mr. Modi has to be worried about it for the simple reason, because if you compare the data, that in the last 3 years, how Rahul Gandhi's popularity has gone up and how Modi's popularity has gone. And if you have a comparable relative data, you will understand that. And please understand, on an average, I have seen your data, the popularity graph between Rahul Gandhi and the Modi is 6 to 7%. And remember, Rahul's popularity is going up, Modi is going down, and elections are 6 months down the line. So Modi has to be very, very worried about it. I think the biggest story which we missed about the Punjab is the demise of Aam Aadmi Party. It's complete demise of the Aam Aadmi Party. Sure. Aam Aadmi Party was the main opposition party there with 20 MLAs. And despite having such a strong dissatisfaction with the Modi government as well as with the Amrinder Singh government, and Aam Aadmi Party is nowhere in existence. In fact, the most popular, the Badals are more popular than the Aam Aadmi Party. That shows that Aam Aadmi Party is finished in Punjab, and if it doesn't take any extra measures, exceptional measures, then there is no future for the party in Punjab.
Yogendra Yadav, how does one draw a distinction between the signal and the noise? People in Punjab clearly unhappy. They don't like the Congress government in the state. They're not happy with the central government at the center. They like Amrinder Singh. They somehow seem to like Rahul Gandhi more than they like Narendra Modi. What do you make of this very confused picture emerging from the farmlands of Punjab?
That's precisely why I said, Rahul, that I would, if I was a pollster, I would take another look at that first information that you displayed. Something is very odd here. I'm not a technician anymore, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, but you really want to take another look at that. But the broad picture remains that yes, people are not very happy with Congress government. They don't want to go back to the BJP Akali Dal, are not happy with Modi at all. And one of the reasons is what Ashutosh has pointed out. There is still a space for a third alternative, but that third alternative has destroyed itself. If you look at the survey data, there still is a space, about 15-16% space for the third alternative. But if you look at the ground, the fact that the legislature party is already divided, the fact that they have 0 seat in Zilla Parishad, almost nowhere in municipality. So the alternative has self-destructed, which is what has left Punjab in a somewhat confused state. And finally, let me quickly point out the one data that you may not have time to display, namely about Rafale deal, both in Delhi and Punjab. Rahul, as we progress in this program, the number of people who know about Rafale is increasing, and the proportion
but I could
of those
counter
who
argue
believe
that no, but I could counter argue that
is also increasing.
But Yogendra Yadav, I could counter argue by saying that the level of urbanization, the level of awareness in Delhi, much more than some of the more backward states that we had earlier. So obviously the level of awareness in Bihar or in Bengal, in comparison with Delhi, would be much higher. There's more TV, there's more awareness, it's in the heart of the capital. So there is a bit of a difference. But don't miss, because you raised the issue of Rafale, 63% are confused. So it's not like the Congress is winning the argument on Rafale. You are right about the fact that if you compare with an Assam or a Bihar, the level of awareness is more. But when the second question is asked about whether people believe there's anything amiss, 63% say they don't know. So it's not like the opposition's winning that argument. People still very confused.
But Rahul, 6 months down the line.
Of course they don't know. All I'm saying is that it's steadily increasing. The proportion of negative sentiment on Rafale is steadily increasing. That's all I'm saying.
So that's your intuition. We'd know that for a fact if, when we go back to the states, it shows that the level of awareness is going up and that people believe that there was some hera-pheri. We will know. That's the advantage of the political stock exchange. After every 11 weeks, we go back to each state to show you what the difference is, which is why, like an exchange, you can track data over time. That's the advantage of the political stock exchange. To all our guests for joining us on the political stock exchange this week, thank you very much. Sambit Patra, this time slightly on the back foot, but remember, in 21 states, the BJP has been on the front foot and quite strongly. It's in Punjab and to an extent in Delhi, where the results have not been in their favor. Mr. Jakar's been on the
Do
show
a
only
survey,
once.
please, Rahul. One last word. Do
Yes.
a survey after the Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and
We'll
Chhattisgarh
do a
results.
survey
Do a
every
survey
week.
and then you'll see how your stock
So
exchange
you were saying the
goes
same
up.
after the UP elections
Do
also?
that and then you'll
They
see
did
the
the survey
results
after
speak for
UP
themselves.
Rajdeep will be back from his break. He's been away in Brazil, so he'll be back next week, and we'll deal with Kerala and with Tamil Nadu, two crucial South Indian states in next week's edition of the Political Stock Exchange. And then there is Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, and then we are building up to the big national picture. So lots of excitement lined up on India Today's Political Stock Exchange. To all my guests, thank you so much.